That's odd. All right, it's 7 o'clock. Go ahead and call the meeting to order. RC, whenever you're ready, you can call the roll, please.
Engelhardt.
Here.
Engstrom.
Here.
Malcolm.
Here.
Mar.
Here.
Moore.
Here.
All right, thank you. Item number 3 is the pledge. So everybody that's able, please stand and we will recite the pledge together. And before we sit down, then let's have a moment of silence for 9/11. All right. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible. Justice for all.
Thank you, everybody. Okay, item 4, and then it's the correction and approval of the agenda. Motion, so do that.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
All right.
Those say no. All right. Item 5 then is public comment. Anybody?
All right. I have an apple in my mouth. So a couple things really quick. One, Community Heart and Soul had their event on Thursday at the farmers market. It's not exactly Taste of Postville, but we wanted to play on the name Taste of Postville Drug Crawl, and we attempt to get people to go around town, many places. We gave away all of our coupon books. We had almost all the restaurants in town, almost all the markets in town, and some other small businesses as well, because we didn't want to leave anybody out. And I think it was hugely successful. I saw people literally like staring me down and coming into the market just to get a coupon book. So it was really exciting. And then there were other people who just happened to be there and were like, coupons. So hopefully people will utilize those. They're good through the 17th. And surprise to me, one of the like VPs from Community Heart and Soul showed up that evening. So from all the way from like the East Coast. So he was there and got to see what we're doing in Postville and impressed with a lot of things that we have going on in town. And we ate at El Pariente and it was just a really cool night. We also had the CEO, our executive director from the Community Foundation. So it was a really cool evening. And then the other thing for the library, I want to read you something because I think I won't summarize it as well. It's from one of my employees, and I got her permission to share this. So she said, and this was a day when I wasn't working, she said, a lady came into the library yesterday at about 4:45, sweet as pie. She needed papers printed and didn't speak English. She almost cried when I told her I spoke Spanish. She then asked if I could help fill the papers out, so I gave her my address since I knew it would take a while and we would be closing. Her and her husband came over and we filled out the papers. She was ready to give me $50 and I told her no. She teared up and was so thankful. The papers were for her to bring her nephew here to attend school in Postville. Literally made my day. I have never seen someone so thankful just because I spoke Spanish. So I just wanted to share that we hired people that were bilingual at the library, not just to check boxes, but because it really makes a difference when people come in, even when you're not great at it like me, and they see that you're making that effort and making that connection. And I just wanted to share that because I thought it was really sweet. So.
It is. Yeah, it is.
I think we should cheer.
Yes. Thank you, Crystal.
Those people were very impressed with Postville. Seeing the town develop, and worked with diversity like Postville has.
Wow.
And they were so impressed with all the buildings. They thought the fairgrounds was the coolest thing they'd ever seen, so. Yeah.
And all the people out too.
Yeah.
They commented on how they had seen a lot of larger cities in the area and there's like no one out.
Yeah.
And they came here and there's always people out and about.
Anybody else? To item 6 then, Val.
Okay.
deal. You have to have a housing study done every 5 years. If you don't have the housing study done every 5 years, then you don't have updated information. So then when you want to apply for a grant, or somebody asks you a question, or somebody else is applying for a grant, you don't have updated information. And so you are shunned, okay? It's not a good thing. I'm going to pass those around. Everybody take one, because you're gonna love it. You're gonna love it. Okay, so we're in the process of doing that. It's, to do a housing study, you have to understand it's over $10,000, but you have to do it, okay? Northeast Regional Housing Trust Fund, that's where we got the majority of the money to do that, so thank goodness it had even exists.
10,000 per community.
Last time we did it had been so long that it was almost $20,000. So cheers to us for only waiting 5 years this time. Okay, but a survey is only as good as the number of people that actually respond. And I am a party of one. So that means that any opportunity we have in every community to share that, whether it be on the city website, or if you have a Facebook page, or if you, I will work with other organizations within the community, but the more people we share it to, the better. And no, nobody's excited about doing it. I am going to leave a copy of the actual survey here. It's pretty basic, but once again, I'll just just leave the copy here. But without the numbers, it really doesn't mean a whole heck of a lot, okay? We have done some things in Wakan to make something shovel ready. And so we did an extra survey there that they paid for, but we're still making it a part of the county. Lansing is in the process, I think, tonight to actually pass tax abatement for residential housing. It's been a long haul for them, but I think they're going to get that done. And like their next meeting in regard to housing, they're actually taking the 35 brown spots, if you will, or spots in their community and are like, who's the owner? Invite them to that meeting. What are we going to do with that piece of real property? And yep, uncomfortable, it will be. But there has to be a discussion in regard to what are you doing with it? Like to do with it? Are they a non-existent homeowner that doesn't even live there? Hey, we need you to do something with it. Hey, there's these funds available to possibly do something, but those 35 spots, the majority of them are residential. Some of them, what's there has to be torn down. There's dollars to help us with some of that. Bless you. So anyway, just realize that in Wakan, we had a really good meeting and developers were there because we're trying to get multi-family housing in there. And of course, that just is taking forever because of a variety of reasons, but we're closer than what we've ever been. Lansing, like I said, we're doing some things, but here in Postville, I think it would be great to probably chat with you about your housing, even though it's in Clayton County, just to kind of touch base with you on that. And I'm sure that we will find some event, even if it'll even be the K9 event that we have through the Postville Rec Center or something. I'm just here because I need you guys to help me. So hopefully everybody here will at least take the survey and then you will be like, oh my gosh, it's just a little QR code. I could like share it with a friend or there's a link. And I just need you guys to help me out with that. I'm also going to leave a handy dandy flyer to post in the hallway just because that sounds like fun. I also need to know if anybody has any questions about the survey.
I do, Val.
Yes.
I listen to every word you say. I always do.
Oh, you're the best.
Yes. But so this is the start of this process. Is there supposed to be a conclusion date?
Yes. Okay. So right now we are really pushing to have this survey done this fall. I'm trying to get everything I can done in September, but the last time I checked, I had 88 surveys. I have over 4,000 households. It's like, oh my gosh. So big push going on. Then what happens is that we have some community meetings in October. In November, we wrap a lot of that information up. And then the actual housing study we present to my board. I think we're trying to shoot for December. And so then it would be available in January. So that should be good timing with the workforce housing tax credit for housing and some things like that, that it would be fresh and new and all those good things.
Like to online meetings and
Yes,
have my
you
friends
take that to every
use the same-
coffee, luncheon, meeting,
and they
anything you
all
can.
use the same QR code.
Yep. Yep, that would be fabulous, and I have lots of those cards. So, any other questions?
I just took out, did we put a door on something like this last
Yeah.
time?
Not last time, it was before that.
With the city.
The city
we
one
did
was.
Quite a while ago.
Yeah, because that was an LMI.
Okay, that was a city thing,
Mhm.
and did we get it done well?
Mhm.
I'm just trying to compare, how do you mobilize to get more than 88? You have to knock on doors, you know, just showing somebody this
Right.
saying, oh, would you please do this?
It is
To get it done,
tough,
they go
it is
like
tough.
that and watch
We do
TV.
work with a lot of the employers and make sure that it's in the break room. Some employers were just like, would you be willing to like bring them in and do that? You know, can you give them 5 minutes to finish it? But we are working with a lot of the employers
You
to
go to the
try it.
employers and say, here's
Please
that,
have your
whatever the sheet
employees-
you handed out, and say, during your lunch hour, we'd like you to fill this out and.
And I bet they just can't wait. But maybe the employer will buy lunch, or maybe they'll buy muffins, or maybe they'll, I don't know what, have a drawing. I am tapped out for stuff like that, and I'm just like, I'm really leaning on my employers to try and get as much as I can. The big hurdle I have, I think, is more of those that are living in apartments and trying to do that, and basically paying for an every door direct mail is kind of, I gotta come up with more cash, but I can do that, but I don't know. Well, I know, I mean, I understand, people wanna have their private lives, but I mean, I also need to hear from my apartment livers. You know, so that's, easier said than done, but we try to do it through employers. We try to make sure that, like, the library here has been very good about things, making sure when they come in, trying to get them to use the QR code. But you know how it is, I bet you just can't wait to do this survey.
I'll do it. However, the other day I was at church in the park, didn't matter. And I mentioned to people that I was running for city council, I needed people to sign my nomination papers. And I just got all the papers signed right there. So what I'm getting at is, you know, is our churches immune from being involved in their community? I don't think so.
No, you're right,
What I'm
because
saying
we
is,
do try to.
You know, if the pastor or rabbi or whoever
Yes.
would bring up, you know, we're here and we're community. And it takes a community to raise a family or something. I don't know what that- It takes a village, there you go, to raise somebody, yeah. I don't know, that, I had 20 signatures like nothing, you know. If the
Agreed.
churches could be involved in this because we're trying to improve everybody's living conditions.
Well, yeah, it's kind of like in the morning, you know, going to Club 51 when they play cards, right? Or go to the S&B downtown Wakan while they're all eating breakfast. I mean, you know, you try to, I don't know, you're trying to work smarter and not harder. So you try to
You gotta
gain
get
a
the
lot.
best people, you know, the employers is a great idea, but
Yeah, and right now, I mean, that has been a huge piece of where I've been focusing my time.
So then you,
I do. I've got more.
when
And I will just leave them on the counter here and- Yep. And we will reach out to the churches again and just be like, would you be willing to put it in your bulletin? Would you be willing to put a flyer?
not this, not this.
Oh,
Those older
the flyer,
people.
the flyer.
The older people are gonna say that, and they want the physical thing, and they're gonna do it right now, or it ain't gonna get done.
Well, if you think that hard copies will work, I would make sure that you had hard copies.
Am I thinking wrong?
well, I think it depends on the,
People, you know, people see this, they're not gonna take the time to go online and do all this, it's not that motivating. But if
Oh,
there's
come
some,
on.
well, a lot
I'm
of
sorry, Don, you
people,
got a nice hairdo now, you got different hair, I was gonna applaud that, but don't get breath. Just
Nice.
I know what you're
No,
saying.
I know.
because
I'm just
our
trying to, you know,
community
you gotta
of
catch
arts
people, you
brings in a
gotta
lot
catch
of
them at a
old people.
teachable moment, and you gotta catch them now while they got 15 minutes to be coffee, and pencils on the desk, and fill her out.
And
88
that
is terrible.
is how that worked for Heart and Soul and Allamakee Light and Electric.
Use our story gathering plan, Val.
Yep, the story gathering plan, here we go.
Find your part.
So anyway, I'm trying to touch base with all of you, so you're at least aware of it, and that you try and help me as much as you can, and I will continue on my trip through Allamakee County to try and reach out as much as I can. If you do want some hard copies, just let me know and I'll make sure I get some here.
About 100.
About 100?
Yeah.
Okay.
Go front back, that is front back.
I'm dropping them off with Darcy and then you're going to, okay. I can do
You know,
that.
that's a Clay County, you're allowed.
Darlin, I like each other, it's fine. Okay, moving on from that though, so super quick. The Chloe Kuzi Positive Impact Award nominations are due Wednesday at 4:30. So if anybody here is going to fill that out, just FYI, it is due 4:30 on Wednesday because my board meets on Thursday. And I,
Electronic form for that?
it's in the, what, Yep. Sense, yeah, yep. Okay, so that is happening. The other thing that's happening is we're having an entrepreneurship week in Allamakee County. It happens to be housed at Lansing Office Works, but there are events in the morning, there's events at the noon hour, there's events, I think there's 2 there. But for small business owners, for entrepreneurs, it can be a wonderful thing. And you get fed if you show up, so you know, there could be some good things with that. Have some extra copies if anybody wants one. But just an FYI, that is something that we do each year. It used to be in November, we moved it up to September because last year one of our speakers wound up in the ditch and actually presented from the backseat of her car.
Okay.
So, yeah, thank goodness for Facebook Live, right? Okay, the other thing that's happening is Google decided to reach out to Iowa and train somebody, and so they are coming and they are providing Google training, and that is like the basic stuff. Like put your business, put your organization on Google. So anyway, Google is providing some training. It's free, but anybody that has a business, and I also know that Crystal can
Take their hours on Google because they had been incorrect, and we got 2 businesses to add a Google listing.
That's a big win. That is a big win. So anyway, there's a lot going on. If you open up our newsletter, you'll see all of the other stuff that's going on, but just know that we are working hard to try and make some things happen. So FYI. All good? I'll be able to see you.
Thanks, Val.
I'll be able to see you.
Nice hair.
Thank you.
We should all applaud Wells' hair.
Thank you.
Item 7, Corey. Allamakee County Hazardous Mitigation Plan.
Thank you for allowing me to come tonight. Ironically, due to someone being here, I can't claim credit for this plan because actually Michelle back there did the heavy lifting on this plan, so I have to give her the credit. So, but no. So glad to see you here tonight. So you can correct me if I do anything wrong. But what I'm here tonight to do is just a couple things. I'm just going to go through talking both over about the hazard mitigation plan. Just going to give a quick overview where we've been the last year and a half on the plan, and then request that you, as a city council, adopt the hazard mitigation plan through resolution. So, as mentioned, our hazard, and we obviously I've been here before. Michelle's been here, I believe, too, also on this. It's been so long. It's been about a 1.5 year process getting this update done to our 2018 plan. So again, I'm happy to report that the plan has been accepted by FEMA. So basically, we're just in the final process of just getting the final resolutions done. I actually just came from the city or the school board meeting. I just have one more school board meeting to go to in Lansing, and then basically all of the jurisdictions will have approved the plan pending your approval tonight. The plan itself is on the county website. It's on my page on the county website under emergency management. It's 269-page document, so it's a little bit large to send out just as itself. Once the final plan is done, that'll be uploaded onto my site. I'll make sure I get information out on that if anybody likes to look at that. Again, and I believe you all got a packet prior of the information I'm going to go through, so you can follow through, or if you don't want to, that's fine. If you are going to look at the plan, and I would recommend definitely chapter 5 is the heart and soul of the plan to me, as far as where a lot of you guys come into play, because this is where we talk about the hazards, the process that was gone through in order to identify what hazards, as far as what the priority was, and ultimately where the pending mitigation actions that each jurisdiction adopted. So the whole plan is important, but in chapter 5 is probably the most important to me, as far as having the meat of what really is in the plan itself. Again, sorry, Michelle, for all the 200 some other pages you had to do on that. But and chapter 6 is also important for me, because that's where we get into maintenance, and that's where I will come on an annual basis, meet with you guys again next year, and see where we're at with the plan. The one thing I do want to make sure everybody understands is there is with the mitigation actions you have identified as a city, there is no obligation if you guys do any of those actions. There was no penalties or anything like that. Obviously, mitigation itself is very important, because this is where we try to either negate or minimize basically the impacts of disasters or emergencies. The best example I can think of, is easy to understand, is if you have a lot of flooding, you can build a flood wall, mitigate that, either get rid of the flooding or mitigate the results of the flooding based on how high the flooding gets. That's mitigation. Or having storm shelters for tornado situations, things like that. So again, that's the importance of mitigation, and the importance of identifying things to make your citizens safer, and also to reduce the amount of damage to structures within the city itself. And obviously, the other benefit of having a mitigation plan, it makes you eligible for certain federal grants. An example is the city of Waterville, where it was able to utilize a grant to get a new warning siren for the city, basically because they had identified it as an action and they actually had the plan in place. So they were able to get the siren put into the city for them. So again, some good benefits from having the plan itself. As I mentioned before, we talk about what mitigation is. We're in the final process of the mitigation process, which is getting everyone to adopt this. Like I said, this takes about 1.5 years to do, so in about 3.5 years. Michelle and I may have to do this again, depending upon where we're both at that stage. She actually helped develop the 2018 plan in this one, so I'm just kind of pointing her out, because I really do appreciate all the work she did on this stuff. And like I said, all the credit really goes to her for all the hard work that she did. Basically, we have 10 jurisdictions which participate in this plan within the county. All 6 incorporated cities are involved in this plan. The 3 school districts in the county as a whole are involved in this plan. Those who are basically everybody who was eligible to be involved in the plan were involved in the plan. Obviously, in order to come to where we're at tonight, it was done by several different means. Obviously, there was a hazard mitigation planning committee that was formed with membership from most of the jurisdictions within the county. They met on a regular basis, went through the plans, the various cycles and things like that over the last year and so. We obviously came to each city, met with each city council, talked about the plan, went to each one of the school board meetings, talked with them about the plans. And then we also had some focus meetings. We met with the schools, met about flooding and mental health and stuff. And all those meetings came out with some very good productive information and some good results. And then we had a public review period in order for it to be possible for the public to look at that. Again, this is a plan the public can look at. Again, we'll make sure we get the information out. They can see it on the county website on my page. The hazards themselves are pretty self-evident. I'm not going to go through all of them. Just want to point out we did add 2 new hazards from last year for the last plan we did. Those 2 hazards was obviously human disease. 5 years ago, no one ever heard of COVID. So we did add that. The last major pandemic was in 1918. So again, it wasn't something we really had been worried about. And then we did add mental health. Obviously, as if you understand what's going on, mental health kind of covers a wide variety of different types of hazards out there within the community and with stuff. So when we identified those hazards, there was, like I said, a process in order to kind of locate them as far as their priority. And what we really looked at in a couple of cases, and I'll bring up a case like tornadoes. Obviously, if a tornado hits an area, it can have a devastating impact, but it's not one of our high risk hazards because we just don't have a lot of tornadoes. As a county, we have the lowest amount of tornadoes in the state of Iowa. And we're very fortunate. We just don't get a lot of tornadoes. The ones we do get typically are very weak. We actually did have a tornado a year ago that was west of Walk-On, did some damage, but again, nobody was hurt, nobody injured, did minimal damage. So that's why sometimes you may look at, if you look at this page here and you see why isn't this up there, it's you look at the probability versus the impact of the disaster, stuff like that. So the one thing I am working on here, and then kind of one of my biggest focuses is dealing with power. That's one of my biggest concerns is power outages. Power outages can happen by a lot of different methods. It can happen through a windstorm. Obviously, derechos actually happen every year in the United States. So obviously, the 2020 derecho was kind of an anomaly, but they're not uncommon to happen. Tornadoes obviously can cause power outages, windstorms, and also wintertime, ice storms, things like that. Obviously, we've been very fortunate here. When our power has gone up, typically it gets brought back up. We have a very robust grid system compared to a lot of places because of the fact our electric grid system has to be designed for cold weather and for ice and stuff, where a lot of other places don't have that kind of robustness of their system there and stuff. But obviously, we're working on that plan to try and make sure we have a plan in case we do lose power. An example was during a heat wave, actually, there was a power concern in the Midwest because of the amount of obviously raw power. And one of the steps they may take is where they start cutting off power for 2 hours, to certain areas. They basically just do a domino effect. You just cut 2 hours, you're out without power, then you're back on, and you just keep going down the line. Fortunately, they were able to control the power output, and they didn't have to do that. So that's something, again, you can just have something that's massive as a heat wave when everyone's trying to run DCs and fans and everything else. And so goals and strategies are in chapter 5 and in the handout. Again, if you have any questions about the plan, please feel to reach out to myself or Michelle. Again, we'll get the information to you as quick as we can. Obviously, and I'm not going to go through each one of these mitigation actions. You have a copy of that. The mitigation actions that you as a city have identified. Again, understand you're not obligated to do any of them, but obviously there's a plans that you want to look at. We realize sometimes one of the biggest mitigating things is funding, obviously. Some of these projects can be very expensive, but that's also where sometimes federal funding can come into play. Please reach out to me if you want to see if something would be eligible for that. Other things are just, again, a lot of times the one thing that does kind of stop is just funding. But again, sometimes you have to hope we get something down the road, maybe again, work on different type of grants or things like that, or it's a long-term bond or something like that. But again, some of these actions I'll work on with you. We talk like the sheltering plan, some other things that I'm working on with each city. So again, just the various things in there. So again, some very good actions here in the plan. So any questions before I get to the final thing here? The final request I have tonight, obviously, is I'd like for the city of Postville to adopt this plan through resolution. The resolution, I'm not going to read the whole thing. Basically, really what it states is that you all realize there is a hazards out there that can have consequences for your community, not just for your citizens, and also for your infrastructure. That you, by being part of this planning process and by adopting the plan, that you're trying to take actions to reduce or minimize or get rid of certain hazards as much as possible to your population and to your infrastructure, and that you understand the importance of these types of actions. And so
I have a question.
yes.
I noticed on this one thing of how much money it would cost. I gotta find it now, of course.
Okay.
Okay, it'd be like less than 5,000 or 6,000 to 8,000. I mean, that's quite a financial impact. Is that like you do a one-time charge or what is that? I don't
As
know.
far as the cost there, that's what it would cost in order to do the action in there.
For us to do this.
So what it would cost some entity, sometimes it might be a shared cost, there might be some, like, there's some things in here I'm working with the city on that I might absorb some of that expense, or it might be totally on the city itself.
Okay.
And these are just estimates because again,
Right, this changed too.
prices change. Look at the price of gas within a 2-day period, so it shot up by like 50 cents, so, and stuff like that. So again, these are estimates and, I hope that answers your question.
And one more question,
Yes.
what is the NFBI, what is that?
That's the National Flood Insurance Program.
Okay.
And basically that's requirement, correct me if I'm wrong on this, basically a city to be eligible for certain funding federally have to be part of the NFIP program. And I believe that's updated annually. Is it annually that you apply for that? All 6 cities in the county actually are part of this program, even though like Walk-On really isn't what you think of flooding. You know, you guys obviously don't have flooding, but you could have flash flooding or urban flooding. Think of Walk On in 2013. You know, again, if you get a 10-inch rain in 2 hours, anybody can flood and stuff like that. But again, it's just one of those requirements in order to have federal funding, even if you don't consider yourself a flood risk. and stuff. So-
I'm sorry.
Oh, not a problem.
Acquire and demolish damaged.
However you guys do that, I know you've been doing that in the past, and maybe you guys can better. I know that's one of the mitigation actions you guys have been doing. Is I've been through a couple of council meetings where you've talked about, you know, basically this, you step in some phase as a city when the owners don't take proper action to maintain or get rid of the nuisance. And I'm not sure how that works with it, but that's something that is done at the city level. So, but I, you know,
Thank you.
okay. Again, my final request again would be to
You
adopt the resolution or adopt the.
Adopt the resolution, you bet. You got any questions for Corey? Is there a motion then to adopt the resolution?
I move we adopt resolution number 1404-20.
Second? So that'd be roll call. Okay, whenever you're ready.
Yes.
Ingstrom,
Yes.
Malcolm.
Yes.
Mar, Moore.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you, Corey. Okay, moving along then, item 8 is HHS grant and childcare. Christie. Sure, you bet. Come on.
Got a handout for you guys to look at.
We're gonna have to get another.
And then I think- Let me stand up here.
Yes.
Okay, great. So Upper Swollen, went after a grant with the Northeast Iowa Funders Network. We saw childcare as a regional issue that we get involved with, maybe like some support. And that's why I'm working on this right now. And so I'm working with Allamakee County. The Health and Human to only 12 communities in the whole state. Ones that they knew had some conversations about how to support childcare workers. And wage enhancement in particular is the funding that they are looking to get involved with. So they have funds available as a 50-50 match with these 12 communities. I'm going to, I think you guys have heard presentations about it recently. But, we are gonna have a discussion about the countywide wage enhancement program. So I'm gonna give you, yet again, a little bit of my data, because it's kind of fun, and it gives you a little bit of, it gets the fresher, it's in your heads. So we looked at Allamakee as a whole, but we have definitely been working very closely with Christy and what she's trying to work on with the postal center. So a little bit about Allamakee and what's going on with childcare, and then we'll talk about this wage enhancement idea. So 71% of both parents work in the county, so that's quite high. So when we're talking about childcare, we're talking about those families where both parents work and you really need to have your young child watched, right? And that's around 2,300 children up to age 12 in Allamakee County, if you're curious. How many childcare spaces do we actually have to serve that population? A little over 500, well, almost 600. So really, we're only serving a very small part of that. I guess 4 children needing a care for every one available slot in our county. So across the county, quite a challenging situation. It's a shortfall of about 1,700. In the last 10 years, we've lost over 50% of our childcare providers. So we are dealing with lots of problems around families having access for childcare, around losing centers, so you're kind of competing over what's remaining. I took, as part of my project, I dug into that so we could try to understand about young children versus school age. If you turn the next couple pages, just summarizes that. We looked at that child population under 5, the amount of spaces available, how many parents are working. We're serving about 62% only of young children. And really 60 to 70% of those spaces is preschool age. So when you have families moving into the area or trying to stay in the area with infants, they're starting out, they've got infants and toddlers, it's extremely difficult in childcare. So I did a quick search, and it's hard to find this information, but there may be something like 18 spaces available throughout the whole county. I think it shifts pretty regularly. But there's also extensive waiting lists because the availability really has to do with things like ratios of children to teachers based on ages. So it's a tricky thing to nail down. But I'll summarize by saying there's not enough spaces. And this is based on license capacity, so something like Postville, I think they can take up to about 80, but they don't have 80 because they don't have the teachers. So this that I'm showing you is saying that they could have up to 62% of the children in the county, but really they probably can't even. So if you look at school age, it's a little more dismal. They serve about 9% of children 6 to 12. So we're really challenging here with capacity. I think that's what I'm trying to drive across. The Iowa Women's Foundation, Sherry Penny, I think some of you may have met her already too. So they did do a nice job of summarizing the economic impacts to the state of Iowa. I'm not going to dwell on this, but throw some big numbers away to just think about 935 million loss annually for Iowa's economy based on childcare issues. 153 million annually in tax revenue loss due to childcare issues. Absences and employee turnover cost Iowa employers about 781 million. And then we see impacts to workers in Allamakee and around the state. So, and it can be impacting how productive they are, how much they get to go to their job and perform well, and it's also impacting where they take jobs. So 65% of parents are late to work or leave early because of childcare issues. Working parents miss an average of 8 to 9 days in a year because of childcare issues. 63% of parents say childcare costs influence their career decisions. 85% of millennials, so some of those younger families, wish their employer offered childcare benefits. So that might be influencing where they land with their family, where they take a job. And then finally, it's impacting finances of these families. So on average, about 12% of household income goes towards childcare in the state. Unless you're a single family, then it's 41% of your income. That's a doozy. I saw that and that caught my attention. So in Allamakee County, if you're going to a center, you spend about 14% of your income on childcare if you have an infant. That is the most expensive bracket. But to give you, and what they recommend for sustainability for these families is more like half that at 7%. So what's happening is we have people wanting care, and really they can't pay too much more for care. They can't ask the centers to kind of lower their rates, and the centers don't want to raise the rates. So yeah, it's a tricky situation. A little bit of interesting stuff we found out about the idea of a childcare business, which is the thing we're really going to get at tonight. We did a little bit of research about major employers in the county. You might be interested to learn that your local Postville Child Care Center is one of 35 major employers, just based on the number of staff they have. So across the county, they're in the top kind of bracket of the number of people they hire. But if you look at their estimated annual sales, they are the only employer in the lowest bracket of estimated annual sales. So take a look at the pie chart here, which we love charts and graphs. And you can kind of see the red circle, the dotted circle is showing that one employer in the lowest estimated $499,000. That is your Postal Child Care Center. They are competing with major employers across the county that make up to $100 to $500 million. So it is a different economic situation. Childcare has different challenges, but they're basically dealing with having to pay those staff and having to serve the family. So it is a very interesting thing when you start digging into what it really is. All right, so a little bit about one of the main problems they're having right now, and you've heard a lot about, is the cost of childcare, but also the childcare workforce wages. So you can't really just raise the fees to pay them, but you can't pay the workers enough. Some of the interesting information Iowa Workforce Development had was the average annual income of a childcare worker is around $22,000, or between 10 or $11 an hour. So this is the third lowest paid profession statewide after locker room attendants and lifeguards. So I didn't realize they still had locker room attendants, but I find that is a little concerning because these people are doing trainings and they are serving their community in an amazing way. They're bringing these children up to go into the school system, and they're also supporting the workforce. So it is a bit dismal when we look at how much they're getting paid, and this is kind of a trend in a lot of different counties. Let's see here. If you turn the page, we did do a survey of childcare providers in Allamakee County. So we wanted to find out where are we landing with the wages and benefits for our childcare workforce. So it looks like we are landing an average of $12 to $13 maximum for this workforce in our county. So we did a quick little search, and you can get a starting pay of $16 an hour for the start. That's what we're dealing with here. So it is an uphill battle, and Iowa Women's Foundation had some information that 21% of workers making only $12.50 an hour are going to leave within a year. And that's exactly what the centers and maybe the in-homes too are dealing with, is trying to retain those employees and just find a way of doing it, even though they, the financials aren't
21%?
easy. 21%. Yep. So, and 40% of childcare workers across the state are on a public benefit themselves, just to be able to live with their families. So, let's see here. Oh, and in the 12 to 13, when you think about Allamakee, the $12 to $13 an hour of childcare workers, that is 35 to 40% less than the median employment earnings of other workers in the county. So if you're just comparing to other workers, it's on the website. So this is, we're showing you this to kind of wet the whistle and let you know we gotta start with the problem, so we then talk about a potential solution. So the Health and Human Services Department did reach out, and it's neat because they keep saying it's like winning the lottery, but it hasn't been a straight road at all. It has not been that easy. Health communities, they have about $2.5 million, and they're going to potentially distribute. And that's not a grant. You don't have to compete for it. They're just going to give it to you if you can meet their criteria. And basically, they do require 50-50 match. They're looking for private matches. But we are working and talking with public entities as well. And the goal is to make a viable wage enhancement fund to help childcare providers and their staff remain sustainable. So the idea is you're working with economic authority. In this case, it may likely be VAT's office to receive those funds coming right from the state. They found it. They looked in their remaining ARP funds and they said, yes, let's get this out the door. This is a key issue. They only have a year to spend it. And it will go to Economic Development Authority, who could take applications from childcare providers to increase their staff's wage so much now. So we did this provider survey. We looked at their existing wage. We did an analysis of a livable wage for Allamakee County. We had to do this really quick. We found out about this about 2 weeks ago. MIT has some living wage calculator that says $16 or so is about the livable wage for Allamakee County. So we are looking with this proposed Allamakee County Wage Enhancement Fund to increase the average wage of about $12 an hour for providers, childcare staff in Allamakee County to a livable wage of $16 an hour. And we're actively meeting with businesses. I think we've probably been kept up to date a little bit by Christie's interactions and conversations. And we have received some match from those businesses. But we calculated about 40 staff just at the centers in Allamakee County. So that's what we like to serve. So that's Learning Tree in Lansing, Postville Child Care Center, and then Wakan Center going there, just to increase their wages to a livable wage. So that's what we're aiming for. And you start high and you see what happens. So we went to the Board of Supervisors this morning and had a conversation with them. We are sharing this news with you for multiple reasons. We encourage you to assist in any way. So it could be a financial assistance. Maybe you've already thought about that. Bringing it back to you and saying this current opportunity is pretty great. You're on the fence. And of course, any other way you could help us with meeting this, getting basically by the end of September, maybe mid-October, we have to have found some businesses that would contribute. So if we can get up to 200,000 from Health and Human Services Department, we have to find 200,000 locally. We're not sure if we'll get there, but that would be like free money from the state if we could find that locally from a variety of businesses or public entities. So I kind of went through that really quickly, and I've working closely with a lot of people. But so I'll invite them to come up and talk too. But I will answer any questions you guys have about the data I brought and.
It's highlighted on this page with the pie chart. It says 46 families that are there going there now.
So I believe that's an estimate of what we currently have, right, Christy?
Could say closure, I think, right?
Yeah, so post facing closure by March 24.
We have 9.
20
Children.
staff.
I rounded up, guys. I'm sorry.
That's okay now. But
I did round up.
So 20 staff jobs were lost, either because they went got another job or.
They will be.
Will be.
Will be.
Oh, okay, I got you. Okay. The impact. Okay, I'm sorry. No, I didn't. Like I said, okay.
And we don't really know. It's so hard to determine the indirect impacts of like the families. like they lost their care. I know like Sunflower, last time I checked in before, 150 kid wait lists. We did this analysis in Allamakee. It was hard to nail down, but I think there's practically no capacity available. So I'm not sure what happened to those family and children. It's possible some people will drop out of the workforce, and likely have this. So this is an economic development issue. It's a workforce issue. It's a social issue, and I think that's why we're treating it as a community discussion. No one's going to take the lead on dealing with it, and it's not going to get done without having multiple stakeholder groups get involved. So we're bringing it back to you. I'm going to pass it over. Anybody else who wants to kind of add a little bit? Thank you very much.
Thank
Thank you.
Another handout for you. This is a breakdown of our finances since 2007. Of as to why we are currently in our position. So I, through a grant that Susie wrote, we have a financial consultant, and we've done look backs. We really looked at data, and also with our collaboration with Christina Dreyfus, our accountant, to really understand why we are where we're at. So this, what you see in front of you, was put together Christina Dreyfus, and it gives you an idea of what we had coming in 2017 from certain, so DHS and preschool, what we also have going out for payroll, and how that's changed to 2023. So the numbers that I hope stand out to you was that in 2017 we had 201,543 coming in from DHS and preschool. This year we have 3,940.
Why the drop?
Why the drop?
Yeah.
Well, preschool program, 4-year-old preschool program was run through the child care center, and the state subsidizes that $3,500 per child. And then the center also charged a child care fee. And then some of those families were on child care assistance. So currently we have a very low family population that qualify for child care assistance. The majority of our population that qualifies for that are our teachers. So our demographic has changed.
So Christie, at 2017, what was your enrollment? What was the enrollment?
It was, I don't have that exact number, but we've always been licensed for 80.
Yep.
So if I had to guess, I would say it was 63.
So you've really never been full?
I don't think that they've ever been full.
Because we didn't have any teachers.
Enough staff.
Yeah, we're getting that still too.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, so the school took over the 4-year-old, which was a really big benefit for our community and a good benefit for that program. A big reason why that program was struggling was retaining quality teachers. It was a requirement to have a certified teacher for that program, and we just couldn't, the child care center just could not afford to retain a teacher. Well, can't, because they are absorbing some of those costs. They're at a deficit with that program, but they believe they were able to then, once they took it on, to high quality teachers for the 4-year-old. Hire and retain paraprofessionals, which is kind of a struggle these days because people aren't wanting to work for 14, 25, 15. But what I want to say is, yes, it was a financial impact to the center that we're seeing currently now, but it was beneficial for the community and it was beneficial for that program. And it ties back to the fact of other entities getting involved for the recruitment retention factor. So the other thing to think about is COVID funding. So I want to say that it was kind of intermixed where 4-year-old preschool program went to the school, COVID came in, we had COVID money help stay afloat, and then now we have nothing. We have what we have coming in for an income stream are the rates that families pay. Childcare assistance, because some of our kids qualify for that, and then also the state has a new pilot program where regardless of your household income, if you work at a childcare center, you can qualify for childcare assistance. Or qualified, applied, and have been approved, and that helps with our budget as well. So we're working very hard to be financially sustainable, and so it's hard for me to stand up here, come to you time and time again, into businesses and say, please help us, because I desperately want to be able to do it on my own. I don't want to have to come before people and say, please help us. But we partnered with business consultants, we partnered with our accountant, and we just cannot do it alone. Just cannot do it alone.
Did you get any response or help from other companies that you?
We've had, Northlex, Paul Roberts, Agra, St. Paul, and the school have been our main contributors.
Okay,
Yes, and they've helped a great deal.
there are like Agra, I know that man kind of spoke, offering some kind of assistance to the employee, giving them a break so that they pay for the childcare.
Options there. Haven't explored that, but they are providing wheat products to us.
Oh, good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, as you all know, many hands make light work. We continue to go to the same people. They're not going to be able to get us to the level that we need help. It's kept us going. It's bought us time. It's not going to be about 20 people, providing about $25,000 annually to really get this sustainable option.
School, this is the preschool, has that been a good trend for the school? The school has a lot invested here, should have a lot of vested interest here in getting kids that are at preschool, with their friends, they grew up with them, and under the school district.
Yes, I think this is a new partnership with the school, but I do feel like they have made a pretty big investment.
I think a 4-year-old preschool.
No, they have taken on my salary and our 3-year-old teacher.
I want to know what their participation
Yeah.
impact has been.
They're very invested, and they know that they're part of the solution, but they can't be the entire solution. So, different things. You guys know that I'm passionate about this, that I'm working hard to make sure that we stay open, and I'm not just sitting back and watching. Desk I go for. We've applied for grants. We've gotten one, which is the financial consultant. Talked to businesses. We've partnered with the school. We have also raised our rates, and then we also restructured our rates, which increased them as well. So 2 times this year we've had a rate change, and all of our employees have applied for childcare assistance to help with the budget when it comes to that. It's just not enough.
Help?
Yeah, so that's the
Okay.
whole point. So because we've been able to engage our business community, like she said, the state identified us as a community that can make something like this work. And so just with some quick numbers that I did here, if we were to get to 24 full-time teachers, which is a good number for us, and if we were paying them 50, adding some taxes to that, for 24 of them, it's around $823,000 that we would need to bring in just for payroll. We have other expenses, but that's just for payroll. And then what we're charging on average, $190 per child if they're coming 5 days a week. So some of that gets looked too. And if we're having 50 kids come, then we're looking at around $494,000. So we're at a deficit of $300,000. We're able to raise this money, then we would be able to access this funding and
So,
So you have to have about 320,000 to get this matching.
No, this is just different. This is what our center alone would be, is 329. Our goal for Allamakee County is to raise close to 500,000. And so we would shoot to raise 250. Get the match that. We reach our 500,000 goal, $500,000 goal to go across Allamakee County.
And you need 300,000 more every year.
Yes, so what we're talking with businesses and who we engage with is this is gonna be an annual contract. To view these centers and childcare providers as a community resource and move away from thinking about it as a handout, more of an investment in a service that you want to keep. Ongoing effort.
Money you get from the state is if the parents are low income. That's it.
Hey, Mary, the only one?
The only money they get from the state is if the parents are low income.
Communities like this.
The city currently given, what the city contribute to the child care center's operation at this point?
we can't, we don't.
We can't.
If you enter into a 2018, I believe.
Right, which, you know, our current year, our budget is set unless we're gonna cut services someplace else. I mean, we don't have funding right now to move to postal childcare. And our new budget year, we don't know what those tax dollars even are. I mean, it's too early for us to know that until January. That's when we start working on the new budget year because we know what our valuations are and what funding's available. So,
I think that's where a lot of people are. So when we come and ask them, they're like, well, we can't right now for these reasons.
mhm.
And so it's moving us further away from making a position on that and where you're at on that. But I think you also need to hear that continuing thinking about it that way and talking about it that way could mean us closing in March and the impact that would have on the community. I do hear you.
If it has to close in March, just in Postville, those numbers would be,
So there would be 20 teachers impacted, 59 children, and 46 families. So I have to think about families going from a 2-income to a 1-income house. Families will have children under the age of 3, where we know the amount of slots are available. The ones under 3, 2, there's none available. So if you have, you're going to have to ask a relative, your parents, or you're going to have to stay home.
About younger families not looking at our community as a place to come and live because there is no childcare available.
a lack of infrastructure.
Well, absolutely, and if, you know, losing this would be like losing a hospital.
Yeah.
It would be like, you know, these things, but, this takes, you know, you were talking about community earlier, that's what this takes is community. The money that this city has got that we handle is already set up for the year. And we can't make any more money, that's it. But what it takes is everybody in this community has got to know what this means. You know, I mean, that's what this is. And if you go out and you can get this grant, if this is a case, that's just taking care of the people that you got working for you now. To make this thing sustainable, you've got to fill that building up, which means you have to hire more people, not just bringing these people to where they need to be. And that's where it needs to go. Otherwise, this will be a continual thing.
That's what this number includes, is being able to hire and get to a place where we're closer to capacity. So there's some,
Which is, what did you say again?
it's 80, but there's a few, so each room is licensed for a certain number. Like, for example, our infant room is licensed for 16. We can take on 8, and we would need to have, so 4 teachers in there, that amount? 16 babies and 4 teachers, and you should see the size of the room. I mean, it's our biggest, well, it's our second biggest room, but that's still people on top of each other.
Yeah,
So
sure.
then we have to look at best practice and making sure that, and it's very specific on what that means, like each child has a certain square footage
Yeah,
of.
yeah. I do that. We didn't make the rules.
Right,
You
so what I'm
know,
saying is
it's just-
80 might be our license, but that's not something we may ever want to get to for best practice quality purposes. Budget wise, we're getting closer to maximizing our budget, and that comes back to the teachers that we have in the room. So making sure that if I have 1 teacher in the infant room, I have 4 babies. If I have 2 teachers, I have 8 babies.
Mhm.
So that's how you make sure your budget makes sense. So if the city isn't able to contribute financially for the reasons you've mentioned, then what I would task you with is each of you finding, Deborah, you've already really helped us with a business partnership, but identifying 3 people you feel like you can reach out to in the community to help and have that conversation with them, present this information to them, tell them you care about this issue and you want to see them invest, and that you want to see this be something that is something they do every year. And I would task you with that then. I would challenge you to find 3 people this week that you could reach out to and to have this conversation with.
So is there any chance we can go through our budget and look, see where our funds are and see if there's anything to cut to amend? Is this important enough for that or not? Or are we as a city just gonna say, let the daycare go?
Why wouldn't we look into this?
Well, I'm just asking the
if you look
question.
at it right now, we all know that
Right, no, I'm sure that we have no money and can't do anything, so I'm asking, is it important enough that we look harder and do something, or are we just gonna sit here as leaders of the city and say, sorry? I mean, we each gotta look inside of ourselves, what do you want for our town? I mean, sometime we gotta put something more important than just ourselves in place of this community, to be a community.
Well, and I don't know if our community can stand another closure. Because when I went through the hospital, then I went through Good Sam being on this board, and we will close in March if we don't figure this out. And the board, our board has worked really hard to keep it going as long as we could. I mean, I started this daycare thing 42 years ago. And it's, you know, it's been good, it's been well received. I think the community really likes having a daycare in their community. But you guys, you gotta think forward. You can't be saying, nope, can't do it. That doesn't work. Because if 42 years ago, if we would have said that, we wouldn't have a daycare.
They have teachers that bring their children there, and those teachers are gonna go to other schools that have daycare within that community. Will be impacted because they'll lose their teachers. You have two sitting here and the director that has.
Library director.
They will have to stay home and then.
How many teachers from the school?
I admit I wouldn't be able to work.
And I think a lot of it would be parents having to stay home, because I think all the communities, but what's gonna differentiate a community? I mean,
Not just
Are you gonna- right, well, I mean, you're gonna have to move quite a ways, because Allamakee, Winnebago County, all the surrounding ones are in the same situation we are, but if you wanna distinguish yourself and be better than the other communities and attract people, you gotta do things differently and put your foot forward to be that place. I mean, I don't know where the budget is, but I think Comb needs to go through it and see what can be done.
Well, that's, we need to put a work session together then. Sit down and take a look at the budget.
They were on our list and we have reached out.
They're coming to town, they're gonna have employees come to town, take care of it, big for them. Talk about them won't have stuff, this kind of
Oh, we
infrastructure,
won't forget about it.
you know, I mean, just because they're not physically here in the.
I appreciate how thoughtful you're being about this topic. And did you say something?
Have you said?
Oh,
About that meeting.
well, we brought up that we can. Their priorities at this time.
What's that?
They have other priorities at this time.
Who is that?
The
The
county
board
board of
I
supervisors.
mean, I couldn't hear you good enough. about what
Sorry.
you're
Yeah,
talking about.
yeah.
So,
Well, they have funds. I don't know if you dealt with this, who's the is it ARPA? ARPA funds, and they have $2.6 million. 2 years, they have to be allocated. They don't have it all allocated yet. And so we. Childcare is the courthouse. We have to put repairs into the courthouse. My question is, if those repairs needed to be done, why weren't they doing capital
right,
rather than looking at?
they're gonna put it all into the building.
Pretty much all.
Two of the three did offer to go along to business visits and two out of the three offered to do.
So you guys is taking a look
That would have
at
been throughout the
budgets
county
now.
though, right, not just this community, that'd been the whole county, there's somebody in the
This
same.
fund is for, it's county.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
So in the courthouse, we
Right?
That's our side of that.
Basically, they need 250 to get 250 match, right?
Right,
What it says to me is that childcare isn't a priority.
this,
Kind of
So-
board supervisor meetings are open to the public.
It's just working with the businesses on when they hear that Postville actually would have capacity to move whatever number, but you're at a certain number. People are already kind of driving all over the place, and like, so if you live in Waukon or drive to Postville, it's not a big deal because they're already doing that Lansing back and forth between Lansing and Waukon.
Well, and you might even find some that find employment in that community, so they don't got to
Right.
drive back and forth.
And we do have employers all over the place. I mean, we all
Right,
drive,
right.
a lot of us drive. And to drive 25 minutes is kind of the norm, and we know that. But we will. I guess I just go back to this is infrastructure. It's a huge piece of infrastructure, just like the house needs. There's nowhere to live, but
I see that.
No.
Decor is getting a new facility, but I don't know, they've still got to get teachers and everything else to fill that as well, I mean,
they still
just,
need employees.
yeah, just because they're getting a bigger facility doesn't
And
mean,
they are adding a revenue stream. I mean, getting focused on the fact that we have a building.
Right, that's all,
We
yeah,
don't even have to
right,
build the building.
right.
And it's a fabulous, I mean, they do a lot of training and there's a lot of the pieces of the puzzle done there. We don't have to recreate the wheel and we could have, or whatever the number is.
Right. Well, we know how important it is. We need to save it, you know, and
Thank you very much.
Yep.
Hopefully come up with a solution so you
You
won't
take
have to
that.
come see us.
Something else sometime on that.
all right, thanks, Christie. Let's go on to item 9 and review budget amendment for FY 23-24. Set public hearing on budget amendment for FY 23-24.
So I guess after your conversation you just had, I would assume you're not gonna wanna set your public hearing on this. You're gonna wanna just table it, is that what I'm getting?
Let me get to that.
Since you're gonna have a work session here and get your budget.
Well, I guess your proposal, Darcy, is probably fit or in line. Yes.
So I guess at this time, I would say we're not gonna take any action, or you're gonna table, or
I have a motion to, well, let's have some discussion on this first.
maybe I can just talk about what I amended currently.
Sure.
So in this amendment, we are adding in the hotel motel tax. Hotel tax that passed, yeah. We increased our expenditures for legal fees. Increased our expenditures and revenue for the water line project that's supposed to start in the spring of 24. We had some increase to insurance costs. And so if you look at the middle line on the last page, I circled, that would be what the overall revenue and expenditure change is. It was the one I laid out for you. I did add in 100,000 for the sewer roof, the sewer plant roof needs to be replaced.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Oh, if you turn it over, see where I have it highlighted?
Oh,
It's the new one I laid
highlighted
out.
one? Oh, yeah.
In the circle of the center column there,
What number was circled?
30,000.
740?
Yep.
Okay.
At this stage, that's, we've done the
You're
budget.
probably not gonna, yeah, that currently, so if you're going to have a workshop though, you're not gonna wanna set your public hearing yet.
Cause we'll just do another one right behind it if that was the case.
Well, it costs you money.
Right.
Every time you publish, pay $150. So you might as well just wait, I guess.
Right, so
Just make a motion.
probably need a motion to table.
So moved.
Second. Further discussion? Not all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. Carried. All right, we're gonna table that one. Okay, item 10 is mobile food ordinance, and this is discussion.
So I just kind of gave you an example in your packet from another town. We get a lot of calls for mobile food trucks. And we currently make them get a solicitor's license, and that's why I included that chapter in your packet of what is required by peddlers, solicitors, merchant. And I guess my question is, do you want to have a separate ordinance that addresses mobile food trucks? They're kind of getting to be a big thing now. And so I'm give you an example. If it's something you're interested in, we could have the city attorney draft and add it into our ordinance book.
Now, are we talking about people, for instance, at the farmer's market, the local person? Oh, but it's the local taco truck.
Yeah, so how that works is the 2 taco trucks that are in this town and
You
are
already
residents
have
of this town, they came before city council and got permission to be
Right.
in this
Now,
town.
you're talking about the people that come that are not from this area that, like they had a couple different ones at the farmer's market.
Right, and like Scratch Cupcake, they recently got a peddler's permit. They're gonna be at the wellness center. Yeah,
Yeah.
those permits are required. They're not local people.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
How much do they have to pay for that? for Scratch Cupcake to come in?
So you have the ordinance in front of you, that peddlers, it's a 1 day, well, it's $20 for the application and 1 day permits 20.
So
What a
40.
lot of people don't like is the bond we require and the background check. That's when they usually walk away and don't come back.
Well, we need that.
So I don't know if you're interested in,
And if you go to this other route, that wouldn't be required then there too. Do they do a bond or background check on the other
you can
side?
require it, but I think
Okay.
what it asks for is like, you're looking at their food licensing,
Yep.
right? You would want
Right.
a copy of that
Right.
on file. And then you're issuing them a yearly permit, so they can come and go from your community. I think that one charged $200 for a year permit.
Just adding your permit to the paper thing that we have already.
We would make its own chapter in our
Yeah.
ordinance book that dealt with mobile food.
Yeah.
If that's the route you want to go, we could just, have the city attorney draft something for your review, or maybe you're fine with me just enforcing the peddlers.
And then like community events, and do they have the 1 day food vendor permit for communities? They don't pay anything. They just provide the,
Information. If
Information
that's
to you,
how
is that
want
correct?
it, yeah, that can happen.
well, I like the 1 day or whatever, but I think you need to charge something for it. So,
Mhm.
or, so much per day or the 200 per year,
Right.
which I think a lot of them would probably just do the 200,
Right.
the ones that come regularly, just do 200 per year, but
Is it something you're interested in? You want me to have the city attorney draft something for your review, or are you just fine with the peddlers enforcement? I guess is the
I think
question.
as populars are getting it, it'd probably be proactive to do something on it, as it'll probably continue, I think. Is it easier or does it matter to you really?
It doesn't matter. We seem to struggle with people getting permits.
Sure.
There's a lot of people that come into town that think they can just sell and not have permits.
Which this would make it somewhat easier too, if you don't gotta do a background check and bonding and stuff.
Have to have a background check.
It's just what we require
In
because
the-
our job is to protect the public.
Yeah, for the
You
people
don't
like the
want to
peddlers
bond.
knocking on the doors and
peddlers,
stuff.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
Transient merchants.
cause that's what she's collecting on currently. Which you wouldn't need it if you had this one. You could, but you don't have to. The background check on food one. Usually there's enough people around there going door to door.
I like having them around, because when you have an event, you don't have to worry about the food. You just
Right.
go sell
Oh,
food
you mean the
trucks.
food trucks?
Yeah,
Right.
I mean, it's nice to have them around. It really adds to the farmer's market for sure.
Which I think this would make it
Yeah.
easier.
Yeah,
Yeah, Mary.
but
Yeah, to make sure it doesn't scare them away with getting as intricate as this one
Mhm.
is.
Yeah, and that's a
With the
bigger
signs, that
city.
could scare some.
Right,
yeah,
right.
yeah.
So do you want me to have the city attorney draft something for your review?
If we're gonna do it that way, I guess we would need to have that done.
Maybe also, for that, what would make, what would facilitate Taste of Postville happening? If that could all be combined in that same ordinance. I know sometimes from the feedback we've heard, a lot of people really want that event to come back. A lot of people selling food who don't maybe usually do that. So I don't know if there's a way for that kind of to already be in the ordinance and set up so that way if we try and do that someday, we aren't blocked by ourselves.
Yeah.
Have the city attorney draft an ordinance. Okay, we'll do that. I'll have it for you at the next meeting.
All right.
It's been burned on attorney fees. I'm trying to avoid paying this.
That's what I was thinking too.
It happens without them, unfortunately.
Nope. Okay, let's go to item 11 then, solar. WTF engineering discussion, and I think everybody got that in their packet, right?
Yep.
So this is for solar for the waste treatment plant. Chris is here to talk about, or to give if you got any questions, you can answer them. So it's kind of similar to what was done out there at the well. you folks went ahead and did that solar field out there, and the reason being is the cost of rising prices, utility prices. And our utility prices, our costs at the treatment plant are quite high, and they're not going to go down. So we had, and I guess you folks are probably know this, Jacob Lucas had him come in, and but did you notice that what his fee is? And you talk about paying lawyers, well, you're paying engineers a lot too, So come on up, Chris.
And just on clarification, well 4 and the wastewater treatment plant are both at the same location, correct? Well 4 is out there as well.
Well, 4 is past
Yeah.
the shop there,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I got to kind of thinking about that too, because it is a shock to see that price. I was thinking, it is a little bit more complex of a site at the wastewater plant, because we are looking at some of the change, because it is a little bit, I think we had some different options we were looking in that he was going to look at, and I think we abandoned the idea of the roof. I don't think he's looking into that, but we were looking at versus the well 4. Might be something we need to clarify if that's part of his scope, was to look at that. Maybe we can trim down the scope of his project potentially. But let's say a couple things. That was 2 or 3 years ago that we did the
Well
planning.
5, and I looked, it's exactly $2,000 more than well 5 engineering that
So
we paid.
with the complexity plus nothing's gone down in 2 years, that probably explains why the cost
Mhm.
is up. So yeah.
What's usage at this site compared to what well 5 was? Do you know, Darcy?
It
Roughly?
is our biggest bill.
That one is the biggest?
Yeah, this waste treatment plant.
So that
it's
would be a-
running, probably 5,000-6,000 a month.
So that would be a better return even than what we're currently
Yeah.
getting, more than likely.
Well 5 was such a perfect site.
Right, right.
There was the land
Yep.
right adjacent to it. The wastewater plant is tougher. It's a higher draw, so in that respect, it's a better site. It's not a better site for availability of land.
Yep.
We think we have 2 potential areas. One is to the north, but it's a lot further, so you got a longer transmission
Yep.
line. The other to the west, which is maybe a little bit closer, but we're also going past the shop. And that's actually something we discussed as well. I think that was maybe another thing we had discussed with him, is the potential of bringing the shop.
Yep.
into it. So all of a sudden we have 3
Services coming off there,
streams,
basically.
water and sewer, so it's kind of.
Can you put incorporate this into a pitched roof for the tan roofs that
I've
you
only
got?
been thinking about that for about an hour. I have thought of
And
little
roofs,
else.
put electrical panels on top of that and
Yeah, I
look
don't,
into it.
I think the odds of doing it on a pitched roof are less than we're doing it on the flat. I think we will.
So if we put this in, how much of that $4,000 a month bill would be taken care of? I mean,
Depends on how big you want to size it to it.
well, that's what I
That's
mean,
available land. That is part of it. We had all the land in the world at well 5. We were able to take, right up to the limit on that.
yeah.
I don't know if we're gonna get that as a wastewater plant. However, I guess if you take the long view, the payback, I think, was it 7 years? Well, the money up now,
Right.
and if we're not able to maximize it, maybe it's a 10 payout, but it's an investment.
But I mean, if we could knock off $4,000 a month, that would be wonderful,
Yeah.
We also talked about whether or not we would utilize an engineer. I think you had mentioned like what,
Just talk to a solar Right
or
itself.
talk to multiple solars and have them just each bring you their proposal
Right.
instead of having specs drawn up and, you know, trying to do apples to apples. You know, maybe we try a different route just because of what engineering costs are. I don't know. That was another thing we had discussed.
I mean, we had looked at that the first time with well five too, and you know, there's pros and cons. Eventually, you have a less costly project. Maybe it's not done quite as many bells and whistles. However, the pro to having an engineer is when you're able to go out and get bids that are apples to apples. Getting proposals from 4 different companies that are gonna have 4 different projects. Offering you cheap off the shelf. So you have a little bit more risk there.
And the only engineering company in town we can use.
No.
Certainly not. And I think that was done at the same time they were in town working on the wastewater plant, and that would be their reason, just naturally. They designed the wastewater plants for all the electric. For everything else, but that doesn't mean you have.
But I mean, you're probably looking at $250,000 to $500,000 project,
Oh, yeah.
at least, I would say.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's 10,000 for an engineer. The end of the world at when you're looking at that bigger project, you know, a couple percent. Did they oversee that a little bit as well with that, or does this just get the bidding process basically done?
He stuck through it the whole,
Yeah, I
whole
mean,
and yeah.
is that all included in this?
This is just the engineering design of it.
Assumptions, scope.
It's a pump, right? I know a solar panel, and what does that solar panel do?
So the way that, so in well 5, bringing the water up to 1,000 feet underground and transferring it. Electrical grid. And we're allowed to use solar to offset, so that solar goes back profit off of it. We can use that to offset.
Okay,
So
that was what I guess I was doing. That solar,
Service
instead
is
of
not
using other electricity
yeah,
to pump it, you use the solar panel.
yeah, so like well 5, pretty much your only electric out there is your, now the wastewater plant, the primary draw would be the blowers.
Seems
It's
scope
the-
we
it's
had
the-
last
I think so.
It's the net meter
Okay,
takes everything.
okay, that's what I had. Thank
Well, 5, those panels pretty much cover that bill, right?
I think so. They're designed it for 80%.
Yeah.
There's
So-
limits. The laws, what's another reason that you need an engineer or a firm to explain, because the law is set up for the customer and they change. And, it's always changing as well.
But if we could get 100%, that would, $4,000 a month savings would add up.
Yeah, it's not 100. I don't think they let you have 100.
Okay, so
But it's only just going to continue to save more dollars every year because everything's going to keep going up.
no. Now this is what for drawing it up, someone else had to install it.
Right.
Right, it
Yep.
goes to bid.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was the question, you guys. Is this something, first of all, that you want to pursue, and if you want to pursue it, then this was just, here you got at least one indication of what that engineering's gonna cost on that one, so.
It's the things that'll give us money to spend in the future in other projects if we do these things now.
If it's something you'd like to pursue, then we could, yeah, if you bet. If you're fine with this guy, we can,
I think it makes sense to be consistent with what we've been using. We had, I said, I think it makes sense to stick with who we've been using. I remember before we hopped around a lot and it seemed like we had a lot of headaches of finger pointing and trying to keep track of who done what. And
My question is, do we need to divert this money?
Like utility funds to
That-
travel, you cannot,
Okay,
that's an absolute no.
Yep.
well, there's lots of things, that we'll find this out when we
Right,
get
that's
into
what
our
I-
session
Yeah,
here,
when you get
because
your
they're just,
session, you're-
yes, yes,
Yeah.
so, yeah. It's just, your hands are tied, you guys, but this is, we'll work at it,
Yeah.
and try something, but yeah.
So you wanna hire the engineer, what do you wanna do? I'll need a motion if you're gonna do that.
Yep,
I
motion,
move we hire Tim to look into this
second,
solar panel.
Second.
Wastewater treatment. plant.
Ross, that is second, all right, any further discussion? Not all those in favor say aye.
I
Opposed, say no.
You wanna jump down to Ferdinand, is that Ferdinand?
For Zach, sure, let's do that, you bet. Let's go down to item 15, so Zach, thanks.
Thanks, Chris.
Yeah.
Thank you, Greg.
We're gonna go to item 15 for engineering again. Erdman on water main improvement project. So Zach, tell us how we got onto this, can you?
Yep. So a couple weeks ago, we started getting easements. We had 12 of them to do in the city. Some of them on the east side are East Military, and the rest were Westville. Then we have 2 permanent easements, and the rest were temporary. The west end of Westville, then the first thing that we need a permanent easement from, requesting the stake out where the easement would be. So we contacted Urban Engineering and they gave us an estimate of $1,500. That's not guaranteeing the guy still even is gonna sign the paperwork to give us an easement. So yeah, today me and the mayor, we had a conversation with him, we called him, and he was very, we didn't want to talk to him much. So another thought we had was ending the water main before his property. That would save us 190 feet of pipe at $90 a pipe, so $17,000 to $20,000 of this pipe work. We would still be able to get our service lines where we need them to be, and there is some paperwork. Yeah, it's got the blue and yellow on it. Just a regular one with blue and yellow, and the one with the red markups is what we would change if we did. Section. Also, as part of the original deal with his easement, we were gonna offer him the 685 property, which is on the north side of the highway. We're gonna offer him the service line to that. Currently, he does not have water service and has a well at that location. So we were gonna give that to him as part of working with us on the easement, but I mean, now he's being, I guess, stubborn.
Well, who owns, what property is this?
It'd be 686 Westville, which would be Milo Sebastian.
So he doesn't have water service?
On the north side of the road, he does not.
Oh,
Yeah, he's got an old well there and he just never needed the water, so.
so he owns a well across the street?
Yeah.
And he
I don't know that
water
he uses,
from that.
I don't know if he uses it or not, honestly.
But he doesn't wanna deal with anything.
the south side, does he
He
use
has
our water there or not?
service there, yeah.
That has water, no sewer service.
The north side of the street would be that big white house or what?
And we
It'd be
evidently
the
put it in
buildings
with no
to the
easement at
west.
one point in time. Is that correct? That's what happened.
The house west of Freedom.
Buildings are to the west of that big white house.
It's just a couple sheds.
He built a couple sheds in there.
Sheds between there.
That's on the south side of the road.
No,
And across.
Milo Sebastian's
Yeah.
residence?
It's kind of
between the old turkey plant
This
ground and the
would
house.
be west of Casey's.
Oh, out that way,
Yep,
okay.
yep.
thank you. I'm confused. confused again.
He's got like, I think a couple sheds there and. I don't know what else he
Okay,
has.
okay, I got
So-
you.
So you're proposing just cutting off the water line, under the
It's
water
up
line?
to you,
He
but I
doesn't have
just-
water, he can get his
In
own
my
funnel.
opinion, we spent $1,500 and we're not even guaranteed he's gonna sign the.
And we can legally get rid of that water line, correct?
Because of that one on the north side, he doesn't have already, so it's not like it's
Right,
existing.
I was
line that we
talking the
gotta
south
provide
one.
him anyway.
Well,
Right.
the south we just won't replace his.
Oh, okay.
He won't get a
I
new
got it.
line.
So you
We would
just
have
use
to
the old
tie
line,
into
yeah,
it,
I got
we
you.
can-
Oh,
we can tie
perfect.
into
Yeah,
that.
Yeah.
he's not getting a new line. He'll
Yep.
still have water service,
Okay.
just it's not,
Got
he
ya.
won't be on the new line.
Yep.
And that line is, the
Makes
old line is
sense.
smaller, I take it.
Yeah.
But
So
when
we
it-
would be
it
able to-
doesn't make any
We'd be able to tie his existing service in the highway right away, not need the easement from him to do that. So,
Seems reasonable to me.
yeah, I guess you can speak on the conversation today too, but it wasn't pleasant.
So there was no
It's
conversation.
Nice.
No, it's-
Yeah, typical.
Said what you wanted and hung up and never even got us a chance to explain,
What you're
our
gonna
stance on it, giving him that line and.
What advantage was there to him? Was there any advantage to him to?
Yeah, he would have got
Where
service.
he's at?
He'd have got water to the north buildings
North side
too,
of his building, and he
which
would
would be,
brand new to his current location too, so.
I guess my question is on where we were trying to run it under the highway to the sheds. If he's got a well there, that would be an illegal. You can't have a well. You have to hook into city service.
yeah, if water was available.
Yeah,
Right.
so it
Which
would
I
be,
think-
which is two
I
hundred
think
fifty
we'd be
feet, where
250 feet
he'd
from
be
the
within
main,
the
so-
250. So what we kind of probably do need to know if there's a well there, because then he probably needs a notice that he's got to hook in.
Which I've physically seen well, so. Yeah, at that point, do we pay for that cost or? is that
No,
on
it's
him, or-
up to him. That's right in code.
So, yeah. I guess it's up to you guys what you wanna do, I guess my stance is we end it before him and not have to deal with it anymore.
So that would do.
I don't know what kind of vote we need here.
we'll need a
Probably
motion to,
Like I said, I figured we'd save 17,000 just in pipe.
I would make a motion to do this revision plan here of moving that back.
A second.
for discussion. Not all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those say no. All right, carried. Thanks, Zach. Right. Now we'll go to item 12, stop sign and speed discussion on Oak Drive.
So we had a request that there was a need for another stop sign on Oak and Hill, Cheryl, right intersection on Oak.
Oops, north.
So
Where's this at? Show me the map or what?
So from where I'm always hiding, when
I
you
don't
come
know.
through,
See, you're good. He doesn't see it.
So,
Yeah.
you know,
you go to
Jewish
the
school.
south, and then you come across Cheryl's there in Hill Street. So you got Cheryl and stop sign on those two sides. So basically, if you're coming up Oak from the south,
Oak Street is which street?
It should be up there, isn't it?
Yeah, let's
Yeah,
just
the-
go on the map.
Oak Drive is the one
Oak
that runs
Drive.
behind Bodley's.
right behind Bodley's,
Between that and the old hospital.
you're on Oakley, right along the hospital. Like you're going to your house.
It's Oak when
take
you come to the
Drive.
stop sign.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah, so right at when you turn on Oak from the south, at that intersection of Cheryl and Hill, they're requesting a stop sign on that corner.
Who's requesting it? Just a person?
It would make sense to put one there,
So it'd become a four-way stop, is that what it'd be?
Three-way.
three-way.
But
So
they
there's
just have
not
it
a-
going east. or
Because
whatever
right
that
now
is.
they're coming from the south, they're going straight up Oak Drive, and the first stop sign they'll hit will be the one at Oak Drive and Wilson.
Is that Koopman's?
Yep.
Oak Drive and Wilson,
Okay,
there's already a
okay,
stop
here,
right
first
there.
stop sign is
So
at
then
Oak
you
Drive
go
and
toward,
Wilson.
So then you keep going all the way up, then the next stop sign you'll hit will be Oak Library.
oh, that.
So
there
they're
is one.
which makes sense because it's a school crossing there. and they would wanna have the one right there at Oak Drive, Hill, and Cheryl Street,
So going toward the library.
towards
Okay,
library. So it'd be stop sign, stop sign, stop
Yeah, I
sign.
got you. Yeah.
Makes sense that way, cause it's a school crossing, you get kids crossing from
Yeah.
the
that's-
north and then from the
Right,
west over.
yeah.
And it's right next to the park.
Right, and it's right, yeah, and it's
There's
right
a lot of kids.
with the park, yep.
I've had multiple people bring that up to me as well. but I
Yeah,
don't-
cause there's a sidewalk that comes up,
Right up by the
from
street, yeah.
Along the
Wilson
park.
to Hill, but then there's no, I mean, there's a stop sign there, but not on the other
Yeah.
side by
I
Oak.
know, yeah.
Figure it out, Larry.
So currently where is stop signs located in that four-way intersection, Matt?
You know where you go, when you go out to work,
Yeah, I know exactly the intersection. I got it pulled up here. I was just wondering which
So,
sites have stop signs on them.
so it'd be the one Oak and, or from the south would be Oak, where it's
So if you're
intersection
going
of Hunter-
past the hospital heading
Hospital,
north, there's a stop sign?
No, there
There
is, that's
one.
where it
Okay,
should need to be one.
okay. And then if you were coming from the opposite direction, there is one?
If you're coming from the north
Yep.
to the south, yeah, there's one at,
Basically down by Bob's or Schrader's by the park.
yes,
basically. Yep.
yes, yep,
And then if you're coming across from Hill going
to the west,
to the heading east, yeah, from the west heading east to like the park,
yep,
is there one at that?
no, cause that's just a straight across.
And what about coming the other
Yep,
direction?
there is one at that intersection.
So would it make any sense to make it a four-way stop with the school and park there or not? Or you think you're fine with that one that shoots straight across?
I mean, you,
Man, I'm not looking for more stop signs.
Right.
I'm just
I mean,
asking
you
an
just stop, so
opinion.
they shouldn't be
They-
up there
yeah,
at
'cause-
very big speed.
cause they would have just stopped maybe, what is that? 100 feet, maybe?
It's not much.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's not much.
Alright.
Be stop, stop. I would say make that kind of like a three-way
Yep.
intersection there.
Can always add another one later if you need it.
Right.
So you would have to do that by ordinance change, chapter 65, adding in a stop sign. So if that's something you want the city attorney to draft, I would need to know.
Said we need a
You draft
motion. but-
something to put up a stop sign?
Yeah, it's in your ordinance. Stop signs are all by code, yeah?
Okay, but let me, okay.
And they're gonna read them.
Okay, so now, is this the 1403-23 what we're talking about?
No,
No,
We're at
that's
number 12.
Ally's.
I'm all confused tonight. But there was something about speed on that one.
Yeah,
What is the one? that we're
But-
on?
we're on number 12.
Number 12. We went back to number
But we
12,
didn't have
Becky.
any paperwork on it.
No, well,
Okay, I got you, never mind.
Yeah, I need to, if you want me to do that, I need a motion
Okay.
to do so.
Make a motion.
Yep.
Okay. Mhm.
Second,
I'll
Okay.
second.
Mary. Any further discussion? Not all in favor, say aye.
I.
Opposed, say no. Carried.
Opposed?
Oh, okay, you can.
No, so now I start driving across my lawn, I'm going to.
Or when his neighbors are calling, they're driving across, he's driving across their yard.
Yeah. Item 13, ordinance number 1403-23, an ordinance amending chapter 63, speed regulations of Postville, Iowa Code of Ordinances.
So this is on your agenda because we had an officer that had an issue in an alleyway and was trying to figure out what the speed is of alleys. And we were all clear that it should be 15. However, the code didn't specifically state that. So we drafted a change to your ordinance to clarify that alleys are 15-mile-per-hour speed limit.
Automatically are supposed to stop coming into a roadway or not?
Yield.
Yield? Okay.
Most people yield anyway, but
Well,
I guess
there's some that have a straight alley from one spot to another that they don't yield anywhere, Matt. They probably are
yeah.
45 miles an hour by the time they're to the end of where they're going.
A lot of the time you see that, you see sparks flying.
Right.
underneath The
Yep.
body of the car.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. That's why I was asking that question, what the rule was.
So this is mostly just to clarify that problem.
I would make a motion to approve ordinance 1403-23.
I second it.
Yes, ma'am.
Engelhardt,
Yes.
Ingstrom,
Yes.
Malcolm,
Yes.
Mar,
Yes.
Moore.
Yep.
Okay, now if you want to waive the second, third, and final adopt, you need a motion to do so.
I move to waive the second.
Are we ready, Darcy?
Yes.
Ingstrom,
Yes.
Malcolm.
Yes.
Mar,
Yes.
Moore.
All right, that was fast. Okay, item 14 is Hardin subdivision. So, we've had this on the back burner for a while, and it might stay there. But I've had so many folks, just to start this conversation out. We're talking about the Good Sam building. And it's come down in price, and so there are a lot of folks are saying, let's go in there and do something with this building. The sad thing is, I don't think these folks understand or realize the restrictions that are on this building. Good Sam left, they put all the restrictions on it, and if they're thinking that this building is going to be a nursing home or anything like that again, they're sadly mistaken. So, okay, that doesn't take away the need for housing Val. It takes it. In fact, this just increased it big time. And especially for those that might need, you're looking for those folks that are looking out of, moving from from their home to the next home or something before they've got to try to go find a home, which good luck. I don't know where the hell they're going to find one. But so this is it. I got to thinking, I said, maybe we need to fast forward this thing. We need to go ahead and I know that there's lots of things because like you said, Val, Walk On has been trying to get something done in their subdivision, there's lots of negatives right now on building, but I don't believe we're doing any good by just setting either.
Well, there's been a lot of I've had quite a few inquiries about what's
So
going
what?
to happen when lots are going to be available. Not
Yes.
saying
Yep.
anything's going to happen, but I mean, people
Yes.
don't ask questions if they aren't thinking usually.
That's fact. So,
Because that Good Sam can't even be assisted living currently, correct?
no.
Would be the equivalent of Grand Meadow Glen.
Can't do
Could
that.
be-
You
it
can't.
could be- no,
That
it
would be
has to
assisted.
like
Yeah.
East Park Terrace
Yeah.
would work.
Right.
Yeah, no
What is
condo.
Grand Meadow Glen's definition? Are they assisted?
Yeah.
They don't have nursing there.
They aren't assisted living.
No, they're not assisted living.
But
They're rentals.
Right. But they get a couple meals provided and
well, one even, and you can't with their stipulations, you can't do that.
Writing one meal puts them into the category of being assisted.
I can't even describe what these people are trying to do. Good Sam, I've got no respect for these assholes, and probably never will.
It's not bad enough they left, but then they had to.
Exactly. I mean, so how bad you need that kick in the ass, as they're gone. Yep. So, but this is the fact. This is it. So.
Eventually get down price where they lift the restriction.
no.
How long is the restriction on?
It'll be in the deed.
I
Forever.
mean,
Yeah, it's recorded.
forever?
What are the other Good Sam locations? I mean, has anybody done anything with their Good Sam location?
The ones that have closed?
Right,
The
right,
ones that
because
have
there was X amount that happened in the state. So
Oh, yeah.
I was just wondering if maybe we should be connecting the dots with those other communities.
Okay, I've done that, Val.
Oh, okay.
So what happened here is, in our area, Good Sam still got 2 homes. And they don't want any competition with that. So where they closed, where there was no competition, they had no problem with that. You could,
You can do what you wanted.
you could do whatever you wanted to with it. You could
Cause some of those
Go
did
back
go
with a
back
home
into
in
a
it.
home, I
Yes,
think,
yeah.
privately.
The other two buildings, the other two good Sam's need a lot of work.
But
Well,
that- it
the
just,
nicest one there was.
yeah, this chapter is not over yet, you know, so, yeah. That's it.
So what are you thinking of doing with it?
What?
Like, the good Sam.
I've got no thought. I'm talking about the property the city owns now.
To make, just build new. I mean, you might as well build new for what they're wanting and by the time you renovate.
Sure.
There's apartments in Monona by the Catholic Church. Have any,
Well, I have, yeah.
you have?
Yeah.
That is one of the best designs in some apartments I have ever seen.
Yep.
I don't wanna leave also, but if that apartment is very appealing, I would highly encourage you guys to think about having some.
Hey, that's where I'm leaning, Norm. That's what I was thinking. I can't, I'm just the mayor here, but I gotta have an idea. They got an idea.
I'm a
So.
senior citizen and I want something like that because I wanna stay in Postville.
Gotcha.
And from our area, that have gone there because,
They didn't have anything here.
yeah, and it was something that they liked. And
Yeah.
not that there's anything wrong with these park chairs.
Having
It's just a
rental
different
would have
layout.
been
It's a
purchased.
different layout.
Yeah.
Whoever designed that, you men close your ears. Because that was not designed by a man, it was designed by a woman because you walk into that and it's got the appeal to a woman with the way the kitchen's laid out, the living room and the bedrooms and all of that.
You're talking about in Monona.
Yeah.
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 Who built
Telephone.
those? Do we know?
I don't know.
But the city of Monona owns them, don't they?
No,
Who
No.
does now?
Allen Real Estate, I think. owns it.
Nathan Trappy owns it.
Nathan,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
But way at its start was it the city of Monona? Way
That
when it
was
started.
Grandview started with the city of Monona.
I think you gotta go back, way back to when it was first built. thought
Yeah, I have
it
no
was owned
idea.
by the
They called
city.
them the telephone
Or
company
the telephone
apartments.
company. It might have been owned by the telephone company or by the city. Way back
Well,
50,
we could
60
check
years
with
ago.
Allen Real Estate and find out. I'll find out.
We'd find out how that got started. Darcy can make a phone call to Alan or.
Sure.
It might be this
I'm assuming telephone, if they were called telephone.
Hemsad,
Apartments.
Henry Hemsad.
Yeah.
I think he might have passed away. I don't know.
Yeah.
But he was a driver in the Monona Telephone Company. They owned them.
So at this point, this is a discussion point, but I said, let's get something going, and see if we can, how about if we find a developer, if we can find a developer, and
Right.
things like that.
Well,
Like,
like what they did in, with Grand Meadow Glen, they had different people investing in it. But if you're gonna have apartments, that would not work probably.
We had laid these maps out. You might have to share from last time the engineer was here. Can you just refresh my memory? What design did you like? One, is it two or three?
Other two.
Two and three, wasn't that?
The one that followed the contours better, I believe.
So was that number?
How it swooped around.
You
That
got,
one.
come on over here.
Is this 2 and 3 here? or
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, they
So
both are
here's-
2 and
So
3.
yeah. So that's 3.
They're both one, these are both one.
This one
We got
is
both ones.
No, you have to look in the middle.
23.
Don't
Well,
look at the
plot
sheet
number 2.
one.
No.
So here's concept
two.
number 2, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
Concept plot number
Two
2.
and three
Okay.
I've got.
Here's 3 right there.
I got 2 and 3.
So this one's 3. This one's 2.
This one's back with sheet someplace.
Down in the center at the bottom, Larry, is 2.
This is 2.
Is one that's kind of more squared.
I like
One
the
that's
3,
more rounded.
the 3
And
better.
3 is the one more round. I think it was a more round one, was
So
it? That
it was
followed the
number
contour
3.
more. I think so. It followed the contours more.
I believe you're right.
You get more natural setting to it
Okay,
with less work.
all right, so then
I believe.
this is
I like 3. What about you?
Yeah, that's
Yep.
what we're.
Okay, so 3 is.
3.
Concept plat number 3.
Yeah, I think that followed the contour of the ground better there.
Concept plat number 2. Where's concept plat number 1?
They throw that out right away.
Wrote that out already, okay? Yeah, figured out the
Is the land ready? I mean, is it?
No, we just had it, engineer, we're starting to
I'll keep
apply.
my list to develop.
Thanks. I mean, we need help, you know, and yeah.
Two or three.
Maybe they could do walk on and Postville
Once
together.
we get them up here, I think it will
Like
be,
we could sweeten the deal with two communities.
Yep, without a doubt.
Okay.
It just looks like it flows better just because it's.
And
But
some
I-
nice county bankers to help it.
Yeah, I think,
Right
well,
on the entrance.
Yeah, right.
yeah, the interest threw a wrench in, you know, along with costs, all of this, you know, but, like I said, I don't think it does us any good to set,
Right.
you know, so let's get started. We'll get something going. As long as you guys got a little blessing on that one.
If something like this gets off the ground, and there's a lot of ifs there, but if you get it off the ground, it might be something that brings Good Sam to change their attitude and say, hey, they're gonna do it without us.
They don't need their
Let that
building,
building
they can
sit
make
there.
their own.
What good's it doing them? Sit there forever then.
They're a big
Wouldn't bother me.
corporation. They're not too worried about it. They're big. They're not worried about it.
They're not gonna care about that last. That's it.
They closed like.
With him, it's just numbers.
Just to add a little insult to injury here, I went fishing to Webster, South Dakota, left Wednesday, and we always stopped at Sioux Falls and eat lunch. And we stopped and I never paid any attention until we went through this hell we went through with Good Sam now, but yes, we stopped in this beautiful setup. I mean, there's brand new buildings out there, you know, and it's Sanford this, Sanford that. And I says, these are the people I don't even like. You know, here I am. Yeah. We're not doing that again. All right, I got that off my chest a little bit. But. Okay, we're gonna move forward, right? Okay, let's go to item 16, then the consent agenda. Is there anything you guys want pulled out of that, talk about? We can sure do it. See, we got a couple appointments to the, reappointments to the 911 board, Dave Paulus and our chief. And appointment to, for Julie Heitland and Sandy Helgerson to the library board.
We approved the consent agenda.
All right, second?
Somebody second.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh. Yeah, okay, any further discussion? Not all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. Carried, thank you. 17, and there's a resolution for money to pay the claims.
Make a motion to pay the claims.
Ross, Larry second. Whenever you're ready, Darcy.
Engelhardt,
Yes,
Ingstrom,
yes.
Malcolm,
Yes.
Mar, Moore.
Yes.
Thanks. 18, public comment yet? Anything else? After all this, hammering. Okay, mayor's report, I was supposed to, oh yes, Val's deal. Got it, got it here.
What are you looking for?
Nope, no, we got the economic development, annual meeting, right?
Yes, in Waterville, we're playing pickleball. At the community center, and we're going to Provisions, their grocery store, into the Waterville bar. It's brand new.
But you have to leave it?
Yes, yes, we do.
Where's these provisions?
It's a little grocery store. And, Paint Creek Gifts is there, and then, yes, you come back to communities. And I'm gonna feed you, and then we're gonna have a meeting, and we're gonna have the Koikuzi for Positive Impact Award, and we will have a guest speaker.
So when is this?
October 12th, yep.
Yep.
Thursday, that's a Thursday.
It is,
So you're having buses pick up in our community and bring us back to our community?
probably should have.
When they go?
Passenger vans in the
now.
That's true. I know,
Laura, you have one.
Or GG.
Oh, is that right during holiday?
Well, so then the van's available.
So yes, and it's RSVP, so, you know, I went last year.
but yes, please, as whoever wants. It's been a great meeting when we're here.
Yep.
We're finally circling back, a lot of those my first.
Okay, so, you know, you need to, somebody keep that open, go to Waterville.
If you wanna come, I will make sure you have a chance.
But I'm saying, could I bring friends?
Sure.
Or is it just open to the city council?
No.
City council members, but I don't like your friends.
I know you would, I'm just, well,
It's good.
How many?
I don't know how many. I don't have that many friends, so.
I will make
You
you,
got a
make
hand up for that,
four
Dennis,
of
too?
as long as you all
Might
play
have hand
pickleball, then you're gonna wear a uniform.
Let me make a copy for you.
Yeah.
I'll make a
Yeah,
copy
make a
before
copy.
you
Yeah,
leave, whoever wants
yeah.
one.
Oh, I have something else in there.
No, it's just, well, maybe.
Paula needs another piece of paper. I can't find any.
I'm gonna mess up my application here.
You know what, I'm gonna come and see you tomorrow, cause I have to come to town, I'm gonna bring the survey
You wanna
copy.
come down to Volga? I'll be down to Volga all afternoon. You're gonna keep me down there.
By the way, you got really nice hair.
Thanks. All right, I'm still gonna drop off the surveys, whatever else
I
I
can
can.
drop off the surveys, I do that after hours. I can do that on my spare time, but when I'm
Well,
working,
no, I
it's work.
mean, can I drop stuff off at
Yeah,
the
you can
postal
do that,
electrical?
but you're not gonna see me to get this, I made a typo. I made a
They need you to
mistake.
write out on it?
I suppose, I'll have to do that.
Yeah, can you just work with me? Can we just stretch out?
Just take someone that and just go over it.
So what?
I might not get it done, I'm probably not gonna get it done.
What kind of, what are the scholarships for? I mean, the Clerk,
It's an award that is given to an organization or a business here in Allamakee County that goes above and beyond within the community. That is what. So it's not a nomination.
How we doing there? You got that straightened out?
Yeah.
All right.
I'm having a sugar high full of honey that Laura gave me. I'm gonna be insulin
No
free
more,
next soon.
no more, Devorah.
Blood
Sweets.
sugar level about
No,
500.
no sweets.
you know. Mary was over here with the apples, was cutting open that thing.
Well, I could have passed. You got it in front of
No,
you?
she gave us
Oh,
all.
no, good.
I got
He ate
a
all
paper
his
clip still there.
Larry's is empty.
I'm done. Am I done?
Yeah.
Okay, council got anything?
I do, I
Yeah.
got a list, as always. And now don't,
Yeah, that's fine.
okay, this one's from me. I walk my dog in the park. And twice now that water spigot over by the volleyball court has been on. And one time I went over there and it was on full bore and it was rolling into the grass. So I called the non-emergency police and then Officer Schlitter, came and shut it. I tried to, I didn't know how much, I guess I didn't do it hard enough. So he said maybe they need to put a headlock on it or something. But anyway, the other day I went, it was just dribbling, but it had been on a long time. Maybe somebody had done it and I was able to shut it off. But I don't know if that should be looked into because it's supposed suggested, now this is somebody from the community, I saw them at the farmer's market, and they suggested that we put red flags on the speed monitor signs. That they have some of the communities. And
By the
they
time you
thought,
see the monitor sign, it's too late.
I don't know, is it? Well, then it won't matter.
You're done.
You gotta put the red flag on the 45-mile-an-hour sign.
I think it is.
No, it's not. It's just 45.
Anyway, that was, what is, was it too late by then?
Too late.
Yeah.
You're done.
Done.
Okay.
That's
They're probably
starting to sound,
watching.
remember what I said earlier today, starting to sound like a broken record.
I know. Anyway, and then We see all these permits every month, you know, and they used to be put in the Postville Herald.
Yeah, so I will send them like every 6 months, like a mass amount, cause
Oh,
it
okay.
was like, 2 this
Yeah,
month.
yeah,
and
yeah,
then-
yeah,
So,
okay.
yeah, so I will be putting them in.
Okay, I was just curious because I know last time I kind of wrote them down, because I kind of drive around sometime and look to see what's going on. And I know that there was one, do they have to put the permit visible on their property that they're fixing? It might be a different state I lived in.
Yeah, probably different, yeah.
Yeah, so I was just curious.
Sidewalk repair, are we policing sidewalk repairs? Anybody?
We're the sidewalkers. The
Oh,
board
what?
and
Have you walked from Uncle Jack's towards Norflex? You guys complain about sidewalk.
no, but we'll check it
And the
out.
gravel that washes across across there, from that gravel washes out into the
Is it
street.
from that house right next to Jack's? They've had construction for it.
Been approached.
Yeah, they- times.
I looked at the sidewalk, I wasn't sure it was that bad, but I didn't walk it. But
We'll put the hammer down.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's not available yet, but you know. It's better. Yeah, but, or the contractor, yeah, we haven't getting back in town yet, so.
Hey, anything else? Motion to
I
adjourn.
finally figured out what Paula was trying to tell me about that, the tree north of town blocking the thing. She thinks the tree branch is blocking the camera.
photo enhanced
Yes,
warning,
yes.
She wants a clear view.
She just thought maybe it should be trimmed.
I told her that this morning.
Yeah, I told her she could.
Tell her
pick it up and
fall's
talk
coming.
about it.
What?
Tell her fall's coming, leaves will be gone.
Well, she was, well,
I'll look at that.
those
Actually, leaves are
sunflowers,
starting to drop now, so fall's gonna be here
those,
pretty early.
Can you put
Sunflowers-
flashing lights on them?
the sunflowers by that mailbox really do block the sign.
Okay, before we adjourn, dates to set up a meeting for a work session. We're gonna get at that too. We gotta get at it, so.
And the proposed idea. It looks good on.
Be in the field pretty quick.
Guys tell me.
I got one free Tuesday open a month.
tomorrow we have fireboard, don't we, Dennis?
Yes, we do.
Why do we keep on Monday, the last Monday of the month?
Week from today?
Week from today.
Oh, the next one?
The 18th?
The work or no?
Is that the last Monday?
No,
No, that's second to last
September
Monday.
So we have
25th,
Church council on the third Monday.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
September
Yeah, one
25th,
more.
25th,
What date? Monday?
the
Monday.
Last Monday. That should be good.
All right.
at what time?
7, or can you get early? Let's go 6. and then,
Oh, that's.
If
just
you can't,
your
we'll
report.
get started and you can join us.
So September 25th at 6 o'clock. I got it written down.
Yeah, we're good.
All right, we got that done. Motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All say no.
Becky or Mary, one of them here.
Out of here, we all want out of here.
Hey. Thanks, everybody.
Copies of that, Allamakee County Economic Development meeting.
I have